When my husband handed me the divorce papers, he called his new mistress his perfect dream woman and told me I was nothing compared to her. I didn't fight him. I just smiled, signed the documents, and let him walk away thinking he'd won. But when he brought her to our final property division hearing, expecting to strip me of everything I had left, her face lost all its color the moment she locked eyes with me. She didn't see a broken ex-wife. She saw the owner of the company that held her entire secret life in the palm of my hands. Follow my story until the end, and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. Welcome back to BT Revenge Tales, where greed always gets what it deserves. My name is Claire, I'm 32 years old, and for 7 years, I believe my marriage to Julian was built on mutual respect. That illusion shattered on a rainy Tuesday evening when he placed a set of divorce papers on our kitchen table. He didn't look remorseful. He looked triumphant. He told me he'd met Vanessa, a younger, stunning woman he called his perfect dream girl, and claimed I had become far too plain and uninspiring for his rising status. He expected tears, screaming, or desperate pleading. Instead, I sat silently as he boasted about her charm, her social standing, and how she made him feel like the successful man he truly was. I saw the arrogance in his eyes, convinced he was leaving behind a helpless, broken woman who couldn't survive without him. What Julian didn't realize was that behind my quiet demeanor lay a mind far sharper than he ever gave me credit for. I signed the preliminary acknowledgement without hesitation, letting him walk away thinking he had won. In the weeks that followed, Julian made sure to let everyone in our social circle know how easily he had moved on. He assumed I was drowning in self-pity in a cheap apartment, struggling to get by. After all, during our marriage, I maintained a low profile, letting him bask in the spotlight of his corporate career. He always dismissed my daily work as a harmless little hobby, never bothering to ask about the specifics. What he overlooked was that my hobby was actually a premier corporate auditing and forensic accounting firm that I had built from the ground up. While Julian was busy spending his salary on flashier cars and luxury dinners to impress his new mistress, I was quietly securing major contracts with top-tier financial institutions. I spent my newly reclaimed freedom expanding my business, working late nights alongside my dedicated team. While Julian thought he had stripped me of my dignity, I was actually standing on a rock-solid foundation of complete financial independence. He was so blinded by his own vanity that he never bothered to check who actually held the real power in our city's corporate world. The day of our final property settlement hearing arrived, and Julian strutted into the high-end legal conference room like a conqueror entering a defeated kingdom. Vanessa was clinging tightly to his arm, draped in designer clothes and wearing an insufferable smirk that said she had already claimed the prize. Julian had brought her along purely to humiliate me, expecting to find a trembling ex-wife ready to surrender the last of her dignity and savings. He pulled out a chair for Vanessa with grand theatricality, boasting to his attorney about how they were planning a lavish trip abroad as soon as the paperwork was finalized. But as Vanessa casually glanced across the polished mahogany table to finally lock eyes with me, the smug smile completely melted from her face. The color drained from her cheeks, leaving her looking deathly pale. Her hands began to visibly tremble, and she instinctively took a step back, gripping the edge of the chair for support. Julian looked at her in total confusion, completely unaware that his perfect dream woman wasn't staring at a helpless rival. She was staring at the chief executive who held her deepest secrets. I signaled my lead attorney, who calmly opened a thick leather binder and laid a series of official documents across the table. Vanessa's arrogance evaporated into pure panic as I addressed her directly, my voice echoing through the silent room. Julian looked between us, utterly bewildered, as I revealed the truth about his pristine new partner. Vanessa wasn't the wealthy corporate heiress or high society consultant she had claimed to be. In reality, she was a former mid-level associate at my firm who had been quietly terminated 6 months prior for attempting to manipulate client accounts and embezzle company funds. To avoid immediate public scandal, she had resigned, but my forensic team had kept digging until every single piece of her paper trail was fully uncovered. While Julian thought he had landed a woman of status, He had actually fallen for a fraudster who was actively fabricating her credentials and using fake bank statements to maintain her luxurious facade. She had targeted Julian specifically, believing his corporate position would give her cover from the impending legal fallout. Sitting at the head of that table, I wasn't just Julian's ex-wife. I was the person holding the complete evidence file of her corporate crimes. Julian stared at Vanessa, his mouth slightly open as the crushing weight of the truth finally hit him. The illusion of his perfect dream woman dissolved into dust right before his eyes. He tried to speak, to demand that she deny it, but Vanessa couldn't even meet his gaze. She stood frozen, trembling under the cold reality of her exposed lies. I signaled my legal team to push the final binding documents toward her side of the table. Every single cent of the luxury lifestyle she had been flaunting, the designer bags, the high-end apartment rentals, the lavish trips she promised Julian, was backed by stolen capital and mounting personal debts. My firm had already filed a formal civil recovery lawsuit, freezing her accounts and holding her personally liable for over $300,000 in damages and uncollected funds. The legal trap was completely sprung. She wasn't an heiress entering a bright future. She was a disgraced fraudster facing total financial ruin and immediate legal prosecution. Julian looked back at me, his face pale with horror as he realized that by aligning himself with her despite me, he had tied his own name directly to a massive financial nightmare. The moment the magnitude of her legal debt hit the room, Vanessa dropped all pretenses of loyalty to Julian. Without saying a single word to him, she grabbed her handbag, turned on her heel, and practically bolted out of the conference room, leaving Julian standing alone in stunned silence. The dream life he had abandoned his marriage for had vanished in less than 10 minutes. Frantic and desperate, Julian turned to me, his tone instantly shifting from arrogant superior to begging supplicant. He started stammering apologies, claiming he had been manipulated, and pleaded for me to show mercy and reconsider the divorce terms. But I looked at him with complete indifference. I reminded him that he had chosen this path when he traded 7 years of devotion for a hollow fantasy. My legal team pushed our finalized settlement across the table, a clean break that protected every single one of my assets while leaving him to deal with the public humiliation of his own poor judgment. I signed my name with a steady hand, completely cutting ties and leaving him alone with the ruins of his foolish pride. Walking out of that building into the bright afternoon sun, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders that I hadn't realized I was carrying. In the months that followed, my firm expanded into new markets, achieving record growth and securing my reputation as a leader in the industry. Julian tried calling multiple times, but I blocked his number and never looked back, choosing instead to focus my energy on building a life filled with genuine success, peace, and purpose. I learned that true strength isn't about shouting or fighting back immediately. It's about staying quiet, building your foundation, and letting the truth expose those who try to destroy you. Thank you for watching this story on BT Revenge Tales. What would you have done if you were in my place? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more powerful stories. Make sure to check out the 2 videos on your screen right now for even more incredible tales. Until next time, take care.